right, welcome in. It's 8:06 in the morning. It's a little breezy out there, a little brisk, but it's all good. We got Grabow in the studio.
This is cool. Grabow Outdoors, newest partner here on The Guys, and happy to have them. And today we're going to be talking about fishing, and excited about that. We were talking earlier about heading into Valentine's Day weekend and having new experiences.
Sure.
I tell you, my wife and her mom, they do these cool things. They every year, it's, okay, what's something we've never done, and let's do that once in our life. And so a couple of years back, they went on a fly fishing trip.
Nice.
And they loved it. And it wasn't just my wife and her mom. It was my wife, her mom, and her mom. I mean, they had like a 70-year-old grandma learning how to fly fish, and they loved it.
That's cool.
It was fantastic. So
I love fly fishing.
We're happy to have Grabow Outdoors here, joined by David Self. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Good to
Glad
have you. And we've got Michael Belcher here, fishing extraordinaire.
Yes.
At Grabow Outdoors.
Well, thank you. You're too kind. I've been doing it just a little bit, so thank you for having me on.
Now, you've been to, a lake here or there in Alabama, right?
Absolutely.
Every single one?
I would say every single one. I would say a good portion of them.
That's
Growing
fantastic.
up here in Alabama, it allowed me to fish most of them, and some were easier to fish than others.
Yeah, you've been doing this
Amen
a
to
long
that.
time.
Yes, sir.
A long time. Well, we're excited. You brought us some amazing stuff for us to talk about and look at and get a hold of. So
I did. I brought some real unique baits this morning from a couple of different companies that are up and going, and one of them's been in Alabama now for 30 years, and it's Davis Bait Company.
Yeah.
He's out of Sylacauga, and he's got some real unique baits that he's made over the years, and most people in Alabama recognize him because he's really started off the shaky headworm here, and it's been working real well all through our area lakes.
now, see, Jim, you know this stuff because this is your thing.
Yeah, I love it.
I learn something new every week. Like, it never occurred to me you'd have innovations in baits and lures. I
Oh,
just kind of
boy.
thought you would have just whatever it is, and you're just buying,
more replicas of that.
More replicas of that. It wouldn't occur to me that you're having new technology and new options, and so it looks like you got some pretty cool stuff over
Well,
there.
it's much
do.
like, to me, it's much like that, you know how everybody calls a soda Coke in the
Right.
South?
Yeah.
Well, these crankbaits that we're talking about, everybody calls them Rapala. Well, it's a Rapala. I got a Rapala. Because Rapala kind of broke out the broken backs and the crankbaits.
They
You know,
did.
back in the day. That was, if you got the best, it was the Rapala, broken back, and man, you can slaughter them in the spring. I mean, I have loved having some Rapala. I actually caught one time. my extra rod was hanging over the water, and a fish jumped out of the water and grabbed that Rapala.
Well, it's hard to beat a Rapala still to this day.
It really is. I mean, I love them, but those are awesome. The graphics they have today are just stunning, and those are, I'm jealous. I don't have any of those.
Well, you can.
They have them available at Grabow right now, so I'm going to get me a bag full.
Well, I like that.
I've already warned the wife that I'm going to be spending a lot of money at Grabow
Good.
because
So-
we got bows to get.
What's some of the stuff that you brought in? What do we have here today?
Well, I have a company from Oklahoma. It's called Grabow Outdoors that makes some really, really nifty-looking swim baits.
No doubt.
In a variety of different styles, from bluegill to stripe
Yes.
to a shad color. And he did really well at our boat show this past couple of weeks. And he's really innovative and just got some really unique colors. And they swim exceedingly well.
They look like they do. They're jointed. This one that I'm looking at is probably only about 2.5, 3 inches long, but it's got like 5 joints in it, so it swims like a fish.
Like a fish.
Check it out.
So I could go pick up some of these, and then for people who weren't paying attention, I could say I caught these because they look so they look so real.
Well, I have some bigger ones that are they're actually it looks like you'd want to catch. So.
That's right. Well, are you a big strike fisherman?
Absolutely.
Yeah. A friend of mine's, I've got 2 good friends that I used to fish with a lot. One of them's gone completely bow fishing. He went bow fishing one time, and he says he'll never do anything else. Now he can't take his boat out without bow fishing. The other one, he used to be a bass, guy like myself, and now he's all stripes.
Well, you'll find
You
here in
know.
Alabama not just stripe too. I mean, even though everybody targets the largemouth, we're blessed with a fishery here in Alabama
We
that's second
really
to none.
are. We really
All our major lakes are teeming with fish, from your crappie to your bluegill to even catfish. I
Yes.
mean, there's just a ton of fish here, other than stripe. So
Well, my latest lake of Well, the one that I'm really going after this spring is Mitchell.
Mitchell's a great
Going
lake.
after Mitchell.
Yes.
And I've been a lay guy for a long time because my parents had a place there and we just fished there. We were right there at the Spring Creek area, so we had Waxahachie right down the road, Paint Creek. There's some great creeks on Lay Lake as well. But I just wanted to kind of expand a little bit, going down to Mitchell a little bit. I got a little property down there, so I can stay at the cabin and go fish. So I'm looking forward to that. You like Mitchell too?
I have, yes. Mitchell, growing up again here in Alabama, Mitchell was one of my favorites to go to. Other than Gunnersville, of course,
Yeah,
I grew up in,
Gunnersville's a league on its own, isn't it?
yeah, I grew up in the Anniston area, so my brother and I had a lot of time fishing Logan Martin.
Yeah.
It was pretty close,
Sure.
and Neely Henry too.
Wow, yeah. I've never been to Neely Henry, but Gunnersville, man, I spent a couple of days up there. It was magnificent.
I've been having some really good tournaments up there lately. And,
What a great, and there's so much navigational water up there, a lot more than any of the other lakes. And when that milfoil's out and you got those rats yanking them across the top of that, that's some exciting stuff. You ever done that one?
Yeah.
The big rats?
Thing throwing top water, you never know what you're going to
I know.
experience. And if you get a small one with 3 pounds of grass on it, you swear you've got a Titanic. And you pull it up and you're like,
It's a
oh.
little bass.
Yeah, it's the same size as your lure. And you just throw it back like, hey, don't take a picture of this.
Aggressive little rascal,
Yeah.
too, isn't he?
Hungrier than what I thought.
Now, is this a time of year that people will begin coming into Grabow Outdoors and they're beginning stocked up and ready to go for spring? Is this when you begin to see folks come
Well, sitting around last week, we kind of scratched our head wondering, when the fishing season was going to kick off. And we figured it out Saturday with the warm weather.
Yeah.
The fishing department was really busy
Rock-
Saturday.
Okay.
It was huge, and wife and the kids, we went to the lake Sunday, and there was more boats this Sunday than the previous time we were up there. So people are getting the fever. The temperatures warmed up, and they've got the fever. It's fishing time.
Spring break, not that far away. I know for me and my family, we're already looking ahead to March and getting excited about that. So,
Yeah.
you get in there this week, get what you need, and get out there and enjoy.
Hey, deer season is over. You get a little lull between turkey season, so get out, get some of that spring fishing fever. Try to load up the boat with some big ones.
That's good. So where do we start? For somebody who is maybe here getting ramped up for fishing season, where are some of the things they'll need to restock or maybe begin completely fresh here for the new year?
Well, first off, if your reels have been in storage, I'd recommend go bring them down, let Michael go through them, clean them, lube them, make sure they're working right, check the gears on them, and reline them. Your line has a life.
Yes,
it's
does.
not infinite, and when you get that opportunity to catch a fish of a lifetime through, have a line failure,
How many times though? That's a great topic because to me, one of the most normal. I mean, people make this mistake all the time. Is when they put new line on their reel, and if you don't put the line on there correctly, I mean, how many times have you seen that with just people that they fish a lot, but yet their string's hanging, it's wrapped all around the end. It's because they put it on there backwards.
Well, normally, it's easy to put line on a bait caster by yourself or even having someone to help you, but spinning's a different guy there.
Yes.
You need to really have a machine to put it on correctly.
Yeah.
Or you can go and offload all your line behind your boat with nothing on it and then reel it in that way because that takes all the twist out of it.
Right. But, those twists can really be a nightmare when you're trying to.
Well, it's got a lot to do with what you're fishing, too.
Sure.
If you're fishing something that's twisting, like, for instance, a MEP spinner.
Sure.
That will twist you up if you don't have a good swivel on there.
Excellent. Well, see, I don't even think about these things. That's why you're so important to me. I'm going to have to come in and just talk for
Well,
more
you
and
come
more.
in, I'll get you all rigged up.
Yeah, I'll be ready because I want to show you my new reel because my wife got it for me, so I didn't really know. I don't know a lot about the spinning aspect other than, I'm a lefty, so it kind of makes it a little awkward. But this one, you can swap it either side.
Did she buy you a rod?
No, I went and got my own rod.
Okay.
But this is, I don't know if I got the right rod for it. I need you to look at it.
Just come on over.
I will. I was confused when I went there because I like a good stiff worm rod because I do a lot of worm fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But here I am with this light reel, and I'm thinking I can throw things that I can't throw with my bait caster. That's in my mind, that's what this reel is going to do for me.
Well, that's the beauty of having a spinning reel.
Yeah.
Because you can throw lighter stuff with it, unlike a bait caster.
A long way, too.
Yes.
And so I've got to really relearn that because I've been used to the bait caster so long. I've got that bait caster sling going, and from what I understand, you don't put near that kind of sling on a spinner.
No.
You know, because I'm used to just rearing back and letting that baby go. You know, because of lunker lures and stuff that I like in the spring. I'm going to have to ease up on that from what I understand. So.
Well,
take a little learning curve.
You can get a pretty nasty backlash if you don't have it adjusted right.
On the spinner?
On your bait caster.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
I'm an
Make a
expert
Boy
on
Scout
that.
cry with those knots.
Oh, gosh. I can't tell you how many times I've changed line on the boat as I got my knife and just jabbed it out. I've got to get it all out of here.
Well, and that's one thing we try to teach at Grabow's too is for people coming in that don't realize how to use a bait caster.
Yeah.
Is to make them understand the braking systems in the reels and why it's there.
Yeah.
So you can go out and have a fun day without picking your line.
Well, most of us were like, to me, I'm from the 70s, so all of us bait caster guys, we all started with the Ambassador 5000.
That is correct. We
You know
all
what I'm
did.
saying?
Yes.
All of us.
Uh-huh.
And then we got the 4600.
Yep.
And, you know, those were great reels. I mean, they really were, but, man, there was no stopping the spool. I mean, there was no anti-drag, so to speak.
Well, there were some
mean,
braking blocks in there, but not a
Not
lot.
much.
Not a lot.
It seemed like that baby would free. So we got used to really, really using the thumb to slow the spool. And but we would get some backlashes on them 5000s, man. It
Well,
was
the
just
companies nowadays make
nightmares.
some really good reels. I mean, you know, from all of them, they really have come a long way, especially in a low profile reel.
yeah. Well, I've never had a really good bait caster. I've always had the cheap ones because I'm so rough on them. You know, I just so I've always got like the Quantums and the stuff like that. They're pretty inexpensive reels. They seem to work okay. But it's all about the amount of ball bearings that are in there and the amount of the speed of retrieval.
Yeah, nowadays it's gotten real specific from a crankbait reel to just a good high speed reel to get your line in quick for a variety of
Yeah,
reasons.
see, I'm lost on all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fishing has kind of evolved similar to the way golf is. You have club-specific
Yeah.
golf.
Yeah.
And between a drop shot, a cranking rod, a worm rod, a frog rod,
Yeah.
you know, a shaky head rod. So it's kind of mirrors what if you play golf, you kind of, you know, your 9-iron, your sand wedge, your putter. It's the same thing with fishing.
Yeah.
You know, it's going bait-specific rods.
That is cool. I've got a lot of different rods. All of them are, you know, some of them I've just kept going all these years and I've fixed them and patched them together. But I got several little bait casters, but I'm interested in learning more and getting to know you guys and soaking up some knowledge because I'm a little weak on so many areas.
Let's give out the number here, 941-1011. Talking fishing today with the fellows from Grabow Outdoors. We got David and Michael. Michael is in charge of that area of Grabow Outdoors. You got a long history in the retail department, so you know the product, but also you've been a fisherman for a long, long time. So folks have questions. They want to give you a call today at 941-1011 here at Grabow Outdoors on The Guys.
I'm feeling better, guys. I'm feeling so
I can
much
tell.
better.
I can see your face.
Oh, and look
your
at the
countenance has improved.
I know, but look at these crankbaits, man. Those are some fabulous looking crankbaits.
I am impressed.
And we got one crankbait that's got a spinner on it. It's like a spinner crankbait hybrid.
I don't know what any of that means, but I'm impressed.
Awesome.
We got Michael Belcher here from Grabow Outdoors, and you're in charge of the fishing department. So you could talk gear and bait and lure with Jim all day long. This is new to me, and so I would like to ask some more conceptual questions.
Absolutely.
If I could. So I'm just curious, at Grabow Outdoors, there's archery, there's guns, there's hunting, there's fishing, there's all these different disciplines. Would you describe, if you could, kind of, are there similarities or differences between like a hunter and a fisherman? Do you have the same type of personality generally, or does a hunter is one way and a fisherman is another? What are some similarities there or some differences between those two big ideas?
Well, it's a good question there. You know, especially here in Alabama, people switch.
Yeah.
You got your hunter that's going to switch to fishing as soon as the hunting season's over. You know, everybody's grown up here doing both.
Right.
So on that hand, fishing, believe it or not, is a lot like hunting, except you're not pulling a trigger and shooting a bullet. You know, you're hunting that fish. You're moving from place to place. So in a sense, it's kind of one and the same.
It seems to me, just from the outside, that as a fisherman, there's a lot of problem solving involved. Of where do I go? What do I use? What's my strategy? It seems like a real thinking man's kind of sport.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of different places and scenarios to where you're going to use different baits.
Yeah.
You know, from shallow water to deep water, you're not always going to use that same bait or lure. So,
Is there a particular type of preparation that, aside from just the right gear and the right stuff, what are some of the traits of a successful fisherman?
you know, knowing that lake
Yeah.
and learning that lake. Nowadays, electronics help tremendously for that fisherman to find these fish, especially in a deeper water. A lot of times, especially in our deeper lakes around here in a deeper part of it. So that's got a lot to do with it, is having some good electronics. Now, of course, back during the olden days, you didn't have those.
Yeah.
You really had to fish harder, but once you got into the fish, you did well.
And is that, knowing the lakes well, is that a matter of just a lot of hours on the water, or is there any homework you do ahead of time, or it's all just on the boat, get it done, day after day after day of fishing?
Well, and there's that good question too. You'll find that most people, once they get it into a pattern on a lake, and they'll mark their waypoints on their GPSs to be able to go back to those spots, and they'll look at different years of where they've been, and that's really a lot of going about at that.
Yeah, because Jim, for you only got to fish 4 times last year.
I know.
Right?
I'm embarrassed.
So, I wonder, how much you can build patterns when, you may have some people who do this kind of stuff all the time, and then others, it's guys and women who want to do it more, but life is demanding, and it's sometimes difficult to break away as much as we would like, but it's how can I make the most of 3 or 4 visits to the water this year,
I think a lot of people have realized that, we have a place at Weiss Lake. And during the winter drawdown, it exposes the shoreline so you can see the hidden structure. So if you can find a good boat ramp to launch from during the winter and ride the channel, you're able to see the creeks and the sloughs and see the point, how far it comes out. Someone may have put man-made structure, Christmas trees and whatnot that's there. You see those, you have an idea, so you can mark the spot where you're at now. And once the water comes back up to full pool, then you have an idea of where that structure is, and you can go over and troll over it with your boat, then mark it on your graph.
Yeah.
So navigating your lakes during the winter drawdown exposes a lot of hidden structure that you normally don't see. Because you're on the lake and you see somebody, it looks like they're fishing in the middle of the lake, and like he's never going to catch anything there.
He knows something you
then
don't.
You realize, hey, there's an island, there's a hump, there's a creek channel, there's an old homestead that's there.
Well, I was thinking about the electronic stuff you're talking about. I don't have any electronics on my boat yet. It had an old fish finder. It's an 84 model Venture boat, so it's kind of old. But I do want some new electronics on there. But you were talking about, when we got started fishing, there was no such thing. You remember the old graph,
paper
kind
graph.
of weird ones that would spin around and they give you some sort of. I never could figure those out.
It's called a flasher.
Yeah, I never could figure those out anyway, so they were worthless for me. But we would fish a lot of the areas where we got a lot of fish in the past. And then once these electronics come around, you look and that's why we've always caught fish there, because we never knew. Because a classic example to me is down at Lay Lake. You've probably heard the Narrows. It's the deepest part of the Coosa River. And so there are a couple of sloughs off of the Narrows that we always would catch big fish on. We didn't get a lot of fish, but they were usually bigger chunks than, you go up in some sloughs fishing some weed beds and you get, 7 or 8, pound and a halfers or whatever. But there, with some crankbaits pulling through some sticks, you end up getting like 3, 4, 5 pounders out of there. And so, I've got to get in on the electronics because I've seen some of those, and they've come way down in price.
They have. You need it. It'll help you.
And at Grabow's, that's where I'm going to buy mine, of course. And I'll be coming and counting on you, my man.
I hope so.
To point me in the right direction. Because there's so many on the market. There's so many different versions of the same thing. I need one that I can, number one, see with old eyes and be able to discern what I'm looking at.
Well, I'm going to steer you towards definitely a Humminbird because they're based right here in Alabama in Eufaula.
Yeah.
And that's their main company. So
another great lake.
It's a great graph.
Okay. Well, I'll be coming to get that.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
Can we have a little fun here? We're about to hit the bottom of the hour. Got the news break to do, and then when we come back, last half hour of the show, I love to give out the phone number and have some fishing tales. I love for folks to call with their fishing stories. Now, here's what will be fun: is you're an expert. You're gonna know if what they're telling you is true or not. So I just like to have a little fun. You know, if you want to call and just share some fishing tales, you know, you're welcome to call with your questions too. But just this is the fun of hobby, right?
Yes.
You know, life is busy.
Yeah.
Work is hard. Times are tough. We need stuff like this of whether it's hunting or fishing, something to look forward to.
The great
You know
thing
what I mean?
about fishing to me is that when you get into the sport and you're actually out there practicing, you think of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I really block out every single, you know, I'm a car guy, so I got cars running out of my ears. Problems all day, every day. When I get on the lake, there's none of that.
Sure.
It's like golfing. All I'm thinking is about the next shot. I got nothing else on my mind. When I'm fishing, all I'm thinking about the next lure. If this
Sure.
doesn't, you know, and I got a 10-point rule. If I don't catch something in 10 casts, I'm changing bait
Or move.
or move.
So
One or the other.
today you got to work hard. You got to go to meetings. You got to get stuff done.
Yes.
But to take a few minutes and talk about fishing with the guys,
Oh,
that's good to go.
gotta love it.
Grabow Outdoors. Phone number here, 941-1011. Hang on, we got news from the ditch coming up, and we'll get right back to it here on the guys.
The 14th is right around the corner. What a great Valentine's. Me and the wife are taking the archery class for Valentine's. I
Yeah.
thought it was a great gift to the wife, and she's in on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling you, ladies, I can speak with you guys about ladies, can I?
Oh, yeah.
They appreciate the fact that you will have them involved in something that you enjoy.
Correct.
They really, really like that. So I encourage you to call today and set up an archery class for you and your significant other. You got to say that now.
Hey, Jim. Speaking of that, I just watched an interesting video there, Dave. You and your family going noodling for catfish.
Yes.
Are you a noodler too?
I'm a noodler.
Wow.
Got his
Yes.
wife out there in the water. She's hauling up these big. I'm like, are you serious? That thing's as big as she is.
That's awesome.
This will be our
Brave soul.
4th year in a row to go. We it's odd. We were sitting.
Where do y'all go, man?
We go to Land Between the Lakes up in Kentucky.
Wow.
We were just watching TV one day, and there was a noodling show on when it was at its peak of popularity, and there was a hoity-toity kind of made-up girl, and she was on the show, and I turned to my wife and said, "Hey, would you do that?" She goes, "Yeah." Thought nothing about it.
For real?
Nothing about it. You look at my wife. Hey, I'm married. I outkicked my coverage.
I understand.
Hey,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And Christmas morning, opened a package, and she contacted these guys, found them on the internet.
Wow.
It's called KY Hand Grabbing. It's 2 guys. We were their very first customers. So they took us out, had a great. They're based out of Kentucky, the state.
Got it.
Attaboy. I saw the look. But had a great trip. That year, the biggest fish we caught was 43 pounds.
Wow. That's
so-
a big catfish.
It was 48.
With your hand.
Yes. The next year, last year, I had 51. I think my wife
Holy
had a
moly.
48-pounder. I had a 51. And the kids, Ethan and Sierra, they're 10 and 12. They go with us too.
Wow.
So we've booked it again. We'll go back this.
But you
June.
like it.
Oh, it's fun. It's just
Do you feel them nibbling on you? Do you do the toe thing? You shove your foot in there and let him nibble your toe?
well.
Is that what you do?
Put your leg in the hole or take a stick. Of course, there's a fish in there. He'll, of course, bite your foot or bite the stick. And if he is, and someone stands in front of the hole, okay, 1, 2, 3, who's going first? You go down. Someone takes a leg out of the hole. You run your arm up to your shoulder into the hole.
That's awesome.
It's not happening.
I got to do it. We got to do
I'll
it.
agree.
And if you get your hand in front of his mouth, it's kind of like putting your hand in a vise in a / car door and mashing the gas.
Wow.
And you stick one hand in his mouth and you try to get your other hand. So they're big enough, and you get a 50-pound catfish.
Yeah,
you
that's
can
a
get
big
both
mouth.
of your hands, and you grab him, pull him to you, and trying to hug him, come up out of the water and throw him on his shoulder, flip him in the boat.
Okay,
And he's kind of mad at the time.
here's what I can't get. And now I understand it's Kentucky. I get it.
Yeah.
But mentally, now I can't see what's in the water. Can I see what's in the water?
No.
No.
I
It's
feel
very
like
muddy.
I'm going to feel like I'm being attacked by a shark, even though I know it's happening. A 50-pound catfish is a big old
And
catfish.
he's locked onto your foot.
Oh, my
That's why they make hooks.
No doubt. That is a terrible idea.
That's so
If this was
cool.
a Christmas present,
That was
Oh, wow.
That was the best Christmas present ever.
that is outrageous.
At the end of the day, it's still doing something with the family.
Right.
And you spend an entire day on the lake. You get to stay at the state park there at Lake Barkley.
Nice.
Tremendous state park.
I would rather put my head in the mouth of a lion than put my foot in muddy water and have a catfish get a hold of it. But that's amazing. So you made like a family trip out of this thing.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
10 and 12.
And they're in on this.
They love it.
That's out of control.
I mean, I think they'd rather live in the water than they would
That is
in the
so
house.
So it
cool.
doesn't really draw blood on you or nothing?
Well, if you do not put a glove on, they will draw blood. I made a mistake of that.
they got little bitty, fine little teeth.
Not going to happen.
It's like taking a palm sander and running it over your hand.
Ah, gotcha.
The very first year we got to this one hole, and there was another couple with us, and there was actually a mating pair in this hole. So the one gentleman, he pulls one out, and I'm just standing in the water, just kind of as a backup. And the guy turns and goes, "Hey, there's a second one here. Quick, he's coming out. Grab him." So,
Probably angry.
So, of course, he pushed me under the water, and I didn't have a glove
You
on.
took his girlfriend out of there,
Yeah.
and they were busy.
Yeah.
I'd be mad. I'd be coming out of there, too.
Yeah.
So you got him?
Got him. Of course, I didn't have a glove, and my hand was
tear
just
you up?
mauled. It's like, like someone you watch these YouTube videos of these skateboarders and rollerbladers that just get road pizza on their face. That's what my hand looked like. Just ripped.
And you loved it.
And he loved it.
That's some hands-on right there.
I lost a little blood, but I'm good.
But I mean, if somebody say like Russell is more to the finesse, he don't want to stick his hand into a log.
Yeah.
You guys, you got fly tying classes that are basically free, right? You'll teach somebody to
Absolutely.
make their own lures and
Yes.
casting classes.
Finesse, thank you. That's what, not
Yeah,
coward.
More
It's,
finesse.
it's not.
Russell,
It's not cowardice.
it's not chicken.
It's not chicken.
It's finesse.
No,
It's finesse.
finesse.
Thank you, Jeff.
You got it, man.
So walk us through that.
So awesome.
Walk us through the fly approach, the finesse. For those of us who are in touch with nature and not in touch with catfish.
Don't knock it until you try it.
I'm with you. I'm going to try it.
There's all kinds of flies that work really well here in Alabama, from your streamer flies, which is a minnow imitation, to your nymphoforms, which is an aquatic insect underneath. There's a lot of hatches here in Alabama that a lot of people don't realize. That's going on early in the spring, and the fish know it because that's how they're getting their food.
The willow flies come out in the spring. And, boy, they used to, up northern side of the Coosa, man, they'll cover the water up.
Yes, and that's
And the
a
brim
fun
are just
time.
loving life.
And you can tie one of those on a hook that looks just like it.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's the fun part about fly tying, is to be able to tie that up yourself and go catch all those fish with it.
And
So,
what I love about fly fishing in particular is that you got this huge rod, right? So it's very, very nimble. And, man, you'll catch a pound and a half fish. It feels like a monster.
yes.
Especially if you got the current with it, so you get a little bit of a current, and you got that pound and a half trout. It's like, man, that is a big old fish.
And you're usually using a
Love
much
it.
lighter line also,
Oh, yeah.
with your leader. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it, too, is catching a big fish on light line.
Absolutely. Well,
Now, I have questions.
or your toe.
Like, as you begin this great hobby, this great sport, this pastime, and you're catching these great fish, some you eat, some you don't, some it's just sport. But do you have to give up the things you enjoy, like fish sticks and Captain D's? And, I mean, you guys were talking earlier off here about fish tacos and halibut or something, or, all this fancy stuff. But, as a redneck from the South, I just like
Fish sticks.
fish sticks.
You just cut them in fish sticks,
Can
buddy.
you do that? On your
Oh.
way to the lake, can you agree? Can we just agree if we go together?
Yeah, we're doing fish sticks.
We can do fish sticks. We can stop at Captain D's, and then we can go catch all the exotic fish you want to catch, and we can noodle this 170-pound bear. We can do whatever you want. I just want my
Did you
hush
flay those
puppies.
fish?
No, catch and release.
Is it catch and release? out there?
We don't keep any of them.
He ate your arm. You can't give it back to the wild. He's a monster.
So we never keep any of the fish because they're mating pairs.
Okay.
And once you catch them, we'll take them and put them back in the same hole, and they'll tag them.
Okay.
So that way, if they catch them, and again, they
future.
kind of know what their
growth
progress and where their
pattern,
migratory patterns are. So, but we never keep.
So you may interrupt their honeymoon, but
We
you're letting
interrupt.
them get back to it.
They just hit pause, come back to it.
Just
They just
ease up just a minute.
DVR the fish love.
If you've ever had a batch of fresh bluegill, you probably would never go back to your fish sticks.
There is
Okay.
no doubt
All
about
right.
that.
So Mrs. Paul's, she would just lose out if it had the blue. What's this
Yes.
called?
Bluegill.
Bluegill.
Okay.
And I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you, that's my favorite fish to eat.
It's probably one of the better
That
eating
and
fish
crappie.
in Alabama.
You know,
Crappie.
which I don't know. People say crappie. I've always been told to say crappie, but whatever, crappie.
Yes.
They're delicious. All I know.
Golden brown hot oil is all you have to say.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
Nice.
But the brim in particular are delicious. I'll fillet those. Y'all
Yes.
fillet those too?
Oh, you know.
I
Yeah.
do. I'll fillet the little babies, and I'll just, you'll basically get half a sandwich out of each brim.
Okay.
That's what it works out
Sure.
with for me.
Fold the bread over. You're good to go.
So you just, I'm getting hungry now.
That's delicious.
We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we got more Grabow Outdoors, and your calls are welcome at 941-1011 or not. We'll be back.
I'm about to start the video for myself to watch, and you can find it on the computer today. Grabow Outdoors and their YouTube channel. Look for Noodling for Catfish. So
Nice.
it's the family vacation
It is.
there in Kentucky. That's awfully cool. It is fun, the things that we get to talk about, and you all provide at Grabow Outdoors an opportunity for people to get outside, enjoy nature, make memories, have some fun, have some tales to tell, and just have a good old time. It's
And to
awfully
me,
good.
it's, unplug. Put your cell phones down. Get your pads out. I was at dinner the other night with the wife, and there was a table next to us that had a whole family, and every one of them had their phone out doing something on the phone.
Sure.
I'm like, wow, that's just so, get on a boat.
Yeah.
I don't know about the noodling thing, but I'm fascinated is what I am. I really want to try it. I don't know if I really have the nerve for it, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I don't know if I could ever get my wife to go down that road, but we'll have to try that.
Hey, we
We'll
have
have to
we
try
have
it.
some vacancies. You can go with us.
Man, I'd love to go.
Well,
I
it's-
really would.
Oh, my word, that's a big fish.
That's a big old catfish. My only problem is once I felt that meat on him, I'd be wanting to break out my fillet knife. Could I just put half of him back? He's just missing that right
Let me just
side.
keep
That's what I
you.
said. Why you throwing it back?
Big
for?
old thick fillets off that 50-pounder will give you some. I caught back in the day, me and my granddad ran a trot line on the Coosa, and man, we would catch some monsters. I'm talking monster. I mean, one day we caught a 17, a 19, and a 23. The same trot line.
Good fish.
Good. Man, we
That's a
filleted
lot
those
of
things. We
fillets.
had fillets about 4 inches thick. Delicious. So, yeah, I would have to put him back, though, huh?
Before we run out of time here, can we
Yeah.
take a couple of minutes and talk about an upcoming event? Because for all of the fun and games
Yeah.
that we have at Grabow Outdoors, there's also an upcoming event that is to help women not to be a victim. This Refuse to Be a Victim seminar. And I guess it's not just for women, but men and women about self-defense. What do you have coming up here at Grabow Outdoors?
Well, at Grabow, not only do we have, fishing, we have archery, we also have a complete firearms department. And two of our employees within the gun department are NRA instructors. So this is the NRA Refuse to Be a Victim class. It's a 4-hour seminar that covers home and personal security, automobile and travel security, technological security, workplace, and many more things. It's just allowing you to be aware of your situation. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of people that walk around and they'll have their face in their phone, and
Yes.
there's someone who's watching them or watching you.
Yeah.
You're exposing yourself as a risk.
Yeah.
Well, David, just recently, right down the hill, we had a shooting.
Oh, really?
A lady right there in this little America's Inn right there.
Mhm.
I can hit it. I can hit a 8-iron right there. She was robbed at gunpoint in her room at the hotel. She had her own firearm, broke it out, and killed the guy. So I mean, we don't know. You think about these scenarios, but you don't know when you've got somebody that's willing to use a firearm to rob you,
Yes.
and you're a woman. What else are they going in their mind? What are they going to do? So if you can't defend yourself, you're just there. It's hopeless.
Well, I mean, it's
so-
one thing is to offer firearms for sale to the public, but it's another thing to offer responsible safety,
Amen.
how to use it, the proper gun. It's Hollywood and society suggests that, Russell, you need this type of gun.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
what they say you need for what it's being applied for in the home, out of the home, as a personal carry gun,
Amen.
there's different types of guns for different scenarios for what you need.
Sure,
And depending on, what you like, what you need,
Yeah.
that's we make that call, and you tell us what you're using it for, and we'll put a gun in your hand. But also, after the fact, we want to show you the proper way, how to handle it, how to holster it, how to load it, just the basics of the gun. Because a lot of people come in and say, "Hey, the neighborhood's getting kind of crazy. I need a gun."
Yeah.
You a first-time owner? Yes. Well, hey, and I'll let the gun department know, hey, we have a first-time gun buyer here.
Yeah.
Talk to them, qualify them, give them a gun that meets their needs, and find out what's in their home.
Refuse to be a Victim seminar, April the 25th. And the cost is $30 per person. I'm going to come to that. I'm going to at least get the wife there. She's been talking about getting a gun too. So I've taught her how to shoot my 40 cal. She don't really like it much. A little bit too much Lord bang bang for her. But you know, the caliber's not. Well, a lot of people want to have the biggest stick. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, I got all this knockdown. Just about any caliber does the distance. You know, I mean, you can
Shot
take a
placement.
20. Yeah, shot placement.
Yep, shot placement.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time, guys. I've had so much fun with you guys. Log on to Grabow.com to find out more about Grabow Outdoors, GrabowOutdoors.com.